Senior Bowl's going. 4 Bama players are there, including Jalen Milroe. Jake knows all about that. He's a former mayor of the Senior Bowl. Plus Bama basketball, recruiting, all that right here on Elephant in the Room. Let's get this party started. All right, roll tide, everybody. There's Jake Coker, Mick Gillispie. Great to talk to you guys. A weekend edition because we love coming at you on the weekend. But Senior Bowl in Mobile, and it's been fun, man. I've slid over there. I saw Roger Schultz. We had him on the show before. He was there. A lot of the writers there. Good times, man. I like the
Yeah. Man, Senior Bowl week in Mobile is awesome. Getting down to I get to see a lot of guys that I've had as coaches, former players that are now coaches. I hate it. This week I got a daughter sick. I had to go out of town on Thursday. I haven't been able to make it to all the events, and I made it Monday to the welcome party, but I love Senior Bowl week, and I hate I've missed out on most of it this year, but gonna try to make it. To maybe do a little bit of tailgating tomorrow, but Mobile supports it. Mobile got to fill out that stadium at South Alabama, but it's come a long way, especially since the Coopers have taken over. Of course, I guess they've had it for a while, but they've done a really good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, media did a nice job. Media relations made it a fun event. Going to the practices, all the scouts. I got a chance to talk with Jalen Milroe, C.J. Dupree, Tim Smith, James Burnup, all those guys. Happy to be there. What did it mean to you, Senior Bowl?
Man, it was awesome, and when I was there, the Jacksonville coaching staff was I guess we didn't call it that was back when we called it the North and South, and I was on the South team. Jacksonville was they were the head coaches or the coaching staff. You got the jersey right there. And they let me start that game prior to the game. They're like, we know this means a lot to you, being from Mobile. I used to play in Ladd Stadium, which is, I don't know if you've heard of Ladd, but that's where the Senior Bowl was played. Up until about, I think, 3 years ago, whenever South built their stadium. But played there in high school. And used to think that was a huge deal getting to go play at Ladd. It was big, and it was funny when I got back and played in Ladd for the Senior Bowl. You get used to playing in these big stadiums, and you come back to Ladd, and you're like, oh man, this is way smaller than I remember. But it was cool getting to go back and play there one last time, just because, again, I had played there in high school and had a lot of good memories there. So. Again, I grew up going there. I remember when I got to Arizona, Carson Palmer was the starting quarterback for the Cardinals, and I was joking around with him. I was like, man, I met you when I was like 8 years old. It's like, I got your autograph when I was when I was 8 years old at the Senior Bowl. He's like, Jesus. I mean, I showed up. He's probably 15 years older than me. And, I got his autograph at the Senior Bowl. So it's pretty cool just being able to come back, playing your hometown game. That means a lot, especially playing at Alabama.
Yeah, well, I get it now. It's like Mobile's game. And it's all the people around, the NFL are watching. They're there. You see scouts from all the different teams. Jalen Milroe, the biggest name that Alabama has there. We're not sure where he's going to be drafted. But his hand size, I don't know how to ask you this, but his hand size wasn't very big. And then he hasn't looked very impressive, but it's a practice to me, like some interceptions being thrown and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know how much I'm supposed to look into that or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You are just kind of getting thrown out there, and you'd have no real chemistry with the receivers. I mean, it's not like you've been running this offense forever. I mean, I think they're looking at how quickly you get the ball out. How quickly you can pick up on certain schemes. Uh, I mean, it's really a testament to me to athleticism and just processing information. But again, when I played it wasn't like you had to learn a whole lot. I mean, it was just kind of feeling out everybody pretty quickly, and they just kind of saw, how you adjusted to learning a playbook quickly, learning, uh, you know, how you interact with your teammates. Um, I don't think there's a ton to be gained there. I mean, they always say that the practices are more important than the game, and that's because they're looking at your physical tools rather than uh, than really what you're running and how you respond. Just because you don't have enough time to really put everything together, and it's not like you're changing a whole lot of protections, getting the ball out quick. I mean, I don't think they allowed the defense to blitz, when we played in the game. So um, it's dialed back football for sure, but you do get to see, how guys react to playing against the best college football players in the country.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the vibe that I got there too. But yeah, it was cool seeing the Alabama guys, and I asked all the guys the difference between Coach Saban and Coach DeBoer, and the vibe that I got is that DeBoer has a system that's more player led as far as the leadership, more than coach led. And obviously Bama with a 9-4 record took a step back, but I kind of feel like if that's the case, then you know, then the team's really gonna win or lose based off of the guys that are the leaders in the team.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. My answer was always, to me, coaching. Like, I mean, Coach Saban is a coach. I mean, he's obviously going to recruit, get good players. Um, his ability to coach is basically going to get you with the players that Alabama had. I felt like he was going to get you to the playoff. I mean, if you didn't make the playoff, you had a really bad year. But once you get into the playoff and you play those upper echelon teams back to back, it all comes down to whether you have leadership on that team within the locker room or not. I mean, you've obviously got the coaches to get it done. It's just whether, what are you doing during the bowl games? Are you hanging out, enjoying the city you're in, screwing around too much, or is winning the game a priority? I know in 2015 our guys were locked in, and it was a level of focus that we had just come off a loss to Ohio State and New Orleans in the first round of the playoffs, so everybody was really hungry. Everybody wanted to be successful and build a legacy at Alabama. So in 2014, we felt like we were good enough, and we were up, I think, 27-6 in the first half, and found we just didn't get it done. So I think the next year everybody really took it upon themselves, took it personally, and wanted to, like I said, build a legacy at Alabama. So took it very seriously in the playoff. I mean, I get what they're saying, but I get what you're saying, but at the same time, no matter what, I mean, it's player driven when you get down to those games that mean a lot. I mean, if you don't have leadership, at the key positions, then you're just not going to win the big games. And Coach Saban would echo that. I mean, he knows that. I mean, character and recruiting guys, character's high on his list. I mean, I I know he'd take a chance here and there, but I mean, when you got guys that are pushing each other during the off season and you build a culture along with talent, I mean, culture is the most important thing in winning consistently. I mean, talent, you got to have talent to win the national championship, and we had that as well. But unless you got guys that have a lot of talent and a lot of character, and hold those outliers or the guys that kind of get wild here and there in check, then you don't have a chance.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us here on Elephant in the Room. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that promo code next round to double your initial deposit. Big game coming up, Philadelphia. 7 Bama guys on that team against the Kansas City team, looking for a 3rd straight championship. But you can play that using that promo code next round, double your initial deposit. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Like, subscribe, and thumbs up. All right. 24/7 Sport just reclassified the recruits, right? And they gave Keelon Russell, the quarterback that is coming to Alabama, actually at Alabama now, the highest ranking that an Alabama recruit has ever gotten. And he actually comes in slightly ahead, and I mean slightly, but slightly ahead of Bryce Young and Andre Smith. That's pretty good company. When and he's the highest rated recruit in the history of recruiting at Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, you think if he is still committed to SMU, he's getting that ranking?
You think some of that's the Bama factor?
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, these are people. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, people want to pretend any entity out there is unbiased. I mean, come on, get out of here. I mean, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. From what I've seen, in high school highlights, you never know till the guy shows up. And I think he's got all the measurables. He's got all the talent in the world. But again, you never know until the guy shows up and you know what kind of mentality he has. And so, I mean, I think he's got all the ability in the world to be the best quarterback that's ever played at Alabama. But you never know. Again, you never know until the guy shows up, and he, takes the reins and he handles big situations, and he can lead his team and make players around him better. If you can't do that, then I mean, to me, that's the most key part of the position. You got to make the guys around you better. They got to believe in you. You got to distribute the ball to the playmakers, and a great deal of talent only takes you, as far as your mentality will take you. So, I mean, we'll see when he gets here, but I mean, I hope he is. I hope he is the best quarterback that ever played at Alabama. But it's hard to believe that anybody's going to be better than Bryce Young. I mean, that guy was just, I still, to me, of all the quarterbacks I've seen at Alabama, Bryce Young, just in terms of accuracy, anticipation, ability in the pocket, extending plays, he just gave you so much slack. I mean, he just save you in so many different scenarios. You just defending that guy in college was, good luck. And again, if Jamison Williams and Mechie don't go down, we got another national championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, man. So look, I mean, if that's where he's ranked and he comes in and performs close or near the Bryce Young standards, then I mean, Alabama's
again. Hey man, this is what I'm talking about, though. Yeah, we talked about this probably when did he commit to Alabama?
Yeah, probably six months ago. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean the hype machine started, and look, I'm just saying, because I remember when he was committed to SMU. I mean, we knew about him, and I think everybody thought he was good, but this ranking has just what was he when he committed to Alabama? Was he a 4-star?
Yeah, he's a 4. I think he was a 4-star. Yeah. You want to say he was a 3-star, but I think
You
he
want
was.
to say?
I think he was a 4-star.
I mean, I don't know how these rankings just all of a sudden changed to the best ranked
He
player.
had, well, here's his deal. He had like one of those Elite 8 camps or whatever, those camps are, and killed it. And then he had like another amazing year. He threw for over 4,000 yards. And I want to say I got to pull it up, but I want to say it was something like 59 touchdowns and 4 interceptions or something.
Good Lord.
Something crazy. Yeah, that's coming off of 2 straight high school championships, 6A in Texas, and they came up short this year. But man, the guy's so good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you get into that 4-star, 5-star, I mean, guys have physical talent at that point. I mean, you can't hide that. But you just never know when. I mean, I've never met him. He seems to be a good guy. I've seen some of his interviews. And like I said, I hope all these guys, find a way to be successful. You just never know until you see them strap it up and play, because there's just so much. There's so much off the field in football. To me, I just feel like there's so much as a quarterback. There's so many off the field responsibilities and boxes you got to check. To get to that next level or even start. I mean, it's a tough position to play, and especially at Alabama.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, here's the numbers. 238 at 343 this year. 4,177 yards, 55 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That was his senior.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
Pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, that's 5-star worthy.
I want to try to find like what he did. I got it somewhere, but I mean, he threw for like 2,000 yards his first year, and then 3,000 his second year, and then 4,000 the next year.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've said the same thing. I've said the same thing about Tua and Bryce and all these guys. I just we'll see when they get here. You just never know. You truly do not know. And I don't know how many. I mean, how many 5-stars, 4-stars have we had at Alabama? I mean, there'll be 4 quarterbacks on the roster next year. I mean, some of those guys are going to play, some aren't.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Ty Simpson was a 5-star. And he's the starting quarterback, or you would think he is. I mean, he's got to win it.
Ty was a 5-star.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but now they're talking about Keelon Russell coming in, and if you listen to fans, I mean, nobody knows. Keelon Russell hadn't been on campus, so you don't know. But just the hype machine gets going, and it's like people forget that Ty Simpson was a 5-star.
Yeah, right.
And that he's got a lot of talent, and all of a sudden everybody jumps on Keelon Russell, and you just don't know.
Yeah, he's there now. Early signing. Did they have that when was that a thing when you started playing? I mean, could you have gone instead of going to your last year?
Guys could go early, because I think when I was coming out, I think Reese Dismukes went to Auburn in January. But it was very rare. That was like a brand new thing. Yeah, because Damian Craig he was talking to me about coming in January, and I didn't do it. Just stayed in high school and finished out high school like I normally would.
Right. You didn't want to miss the bonfires and hunting season and all that stuff. So Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Your senior prom. You didn't want to miss the prom.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, we touched on this before this show started about how nice you are. You want me to pull some of those jokes back out of the bag?
No.
Yeah, you want me to drag those back out because they ain't pretty.
I'm just kidding, man. I mean, the thing is, like now, well, and the truth of the matter is that it when back then it wasn't like it is now where everybody does it. Like it just wasn't a thing. Like like now, you get more of these guys that come in early than don't. But I'm sure if you had a big NIL package waiting on you, it would have been a lot different too, man.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, yeah. If I was getting paid back then, it'd have been a lot different. But again, I had fun spending time with the family, with my high school buddies for one last second semester, just being a kid.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't start till my last year in college. So I mean, getting there one semester early wouldn't have been. I mean, looking back on it now, really glad I didn't do that.
That is the math didn't work out for you.
Yeah. I wouldn't have looked back now and be like, man, I'm really glad I got there a semester early. That paid off.
Let me rush there. Where's the fire? Yeah, I saw that he was ranked that high, and I was like, man, I hope the guy comes in and he's that good, man. I really do. I think that Coach DeBoer is going to need a really good quarterback. He was in Mobile. He had a press conference. They asked him about Ryan Grubb coming back, maybe even being his coordinator, and he didn't say no. He just said that Grubb was kind of going to wait on his process, and so, so I guess we'll see what happens there. But at the end of the day, if you're Alabama, you got to work with the coaches and the players that you got right now, and having talent's only going to make the team better. I mean, you're gonna be better if you're Ty Simpson, if you know that the guy that they just brought in is the highest rated guy ever. I mean, you're going to work harder, right? When you think, I mean, you're going to be more motivated and locked in, I would think.
Well, you better be. I mean, you better be. And when you go to Alabama, you got to know Alabama. Where I mean, any top tier school, you got to know that the starting spot's never guaranteed. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, our quarterback room when I was at Florida State, at Alabama, you always had a lot of stars in the room. I mean, rivals, and scout, whatever. I mean, there was always a lot of recruiting stars in the room, and it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And you kind of found out real quick over the summertime if a guy was grasping it well, if kind of where everybody fell. It's kind of why I said in that last podcast we did that Ty's got to set the tone for this year coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, this is his time. He's got to start really proving that he's going to be the man and take the reins of this program.
That's definitely a time of transition, and talking to Jalen Milroe a couple of days ago, and and knowing that this guy's kind of locked in on going to the NFL, and I wish him the best of luck. I know that you do too. And then kind of seeing who the next face of the program's going to be, and he and Malachi Moore, we met them at the mullet toss. at the floor Bama, and then like they were kind of the guys that helped go out there and raise all the money, and they were like a big instrumental part of the program. I'm curious to see who the next group of guys to do that is going to be. So let's talk a little bit of basketball before we jump off here. Bama beat Mississippi State Wednesday night, and that was a good game, man. I mean, it was action packed. It was never comfortable for Alabama. They led for most of it, but they had to, make some big shots at the end. These are
Well, let me
tough.
tell you, I mean, Mississippi State was a 1-point favorite in that game. And, I mean, prior to that game, I saw that line and I was like, man, odds of us winning here. Vegas knows. And I was like, odds of us winning here is pretty tough. But, when I watched us playing that game, I saw how rowdy Mississippi State was. I mean, I worked with some Mississippi State grads at Gallagher, and some of those guys were driving from Birmingham over to Starkville. And, I mean, remember Matt from
Yeah.
Pearl River, when we went up to, what game was it we were up there that they came? And he was,
yeah.
I mean, I think it was Missouri, and he was talking about the Alabama basketball game like 4 months ahead of time. I was like, man, these guys are, I mean, they are really taking this game seriously, And I watched that game Wednesday night. It was rowdy in there. It was a serious atmosphere. So, I was thinking about all that, and then when I watched the game, I was like, okay, it's this is again hostile environment. I see why the line was what it was. And I got to tell you, Mark Sears gets benched last Saturday. I saw a couple of the plays. I think Nate Oates is getting a taste of the Final Four.
Yeah.
I think he knows that we cannot have take any plays off. And look, I love Mark Sears. I think he is. I mean, he's the face of Alabama basketball. He will, his pictures will be up in the rafters. He'll be everywhere. Just a legendary Alabama guy. But when you watch that game, there were a couple plays where you're like, "Come on, man, you got to get back, play some defense," and you got to love Nate Oates benching him. I mean, in all seriousness, you got to love a coach that is. I mean, him and Cliff. You got to love a coach who's going to stick to his guns and make sure that everybody is held accountable and play to the standard that he wants. And I know it's tough for Mark. I saw some of the stuff on social media from his mom. I mean, obviously not good, but hey man, I've been benched before, and I know my mom. I'm glad she didn't have social media back then, because it is an emotional roller coaster when that happens, and it doesn't look good. It's embarrassing, and it's easy to sit back and say that, well, his mom shouldn't have done that or this and that. I mean, it is a tough situation, and so I eventually I think she handled it well, and I think they're all going to move forward, understanding that this is best for the team, and really in the end, I think it's going to be best for Mark when he comes back and solidifies. He's already solidified himself as a leader of the team, but just solidifies his legacy with an understanding with Coach Oates, and really, I think it's going to bring the team together. And I think it showed Wednesday night against Mississippi State. People may say that should have beat them worse, but at the same time, that atmosphere was serious. I mean, that was a tough win. Mississippi State played hard, and I love was Mo
Diabate.
Mo Diabate, Youngblood. Those two to me, man, those two are fighters, man. I'd take those guys on my team any day. I mean, you watch those two. Youngblood, it doesn't matter what the situation is. I mean, he is tough. He will shoot a three and make it in clutch time. I think I think on a tournament run, and especially in those late Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, I think those two are going to carry us through. I mean, look, Mark Sears, Grant Nelson hit some. He may shoot 29% from the 3-point line, but when it matters, he hits them too, and he hit some big ones against Mississippi State. I mean, I'm so excited for this. We don't have too many big games coming up. I think we have February 15th, we play Auburn, and then I think we play 7 straight ranked opponents. I mean, it's going to be a gauntlet, but I think Nate Oates has built a team that is just he finds guys that it's like last year we had Mark Sears, man, came from Ohio. You had what's his name from Hofstra, Latrell Wrightsell. Latrell Wrightsell a big time recruiter? He just I felt like he came out of nowhere.
And he got hurt again, right? And so now he's going to redshirt and try to come back next year.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just it's a team that you put together. Now I know he got some big time guys, obviously, and then brought in some big transfers. But I love a team of misfits that just play their ass off, and they got a chip on their shoulder, and they find a way to win. And they've got a lot of talent. I mean, we're one of the most talented teams in the country. But it's a bunch of guys that were overlooked early on, and they come to Alabama, and they want to prove to the entire country we're the best team around. And they play with a mentality that I just love it. I love it, and I love the way that Nate Oates, gets his point across, and he leads by example. And you just got to love the mentality of that team and what he's built. I mean, I'm into basketball as much as I am to football.
You love
as much as I am in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm glued to it when we play, no matter what. It's just a
heyday, man. This is the heyday.
But people in Alabama have been starving for good basketball. It's just been, it's been a great ride the last 4 years since Nate Oates has been here.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Bama plays 3:00 on Saturday, right? And then off until next Saturday at Arkansas. Then they play at Texas that Tuesday. And then you talk about those are tough games, right? But then you got Auburn at 20th ranked Missouri, home against 12th ranked Kentucky, 14th ranked Mississippi State, at 8th ranked Tennessee versus number 5 Florida, and then at number 1 Auburn. Think about that for a gauntlet starting on February 15th. Have fun, guys.
Yeah. I mean, the only complaint I could have right now is that we should probably be 8-0 in SEC play, but 7-1 in the SEC right now is not too bad.
Not at all, man. As tough as it is, and winning at Kentucky and at Mississippi State, but you got some more like some of these games. I mean, at Arkansas, at Texas are both going to be tough games. That they're games that are definitely winnable. Then you play Auburn in Tuscaloosa. That's going to be a war. At Missouri is going to be a tough game. At Tennessee, at Auburn, you got some tough games at home. They haven't played as well. They haven't shot as well at home from 3 as they have on the road, and I hope they get that corrected. But
hey, our basketball team has now become it's like what our football team is. When you show up somewhere, it's going to be packed, and everybody's going to hate you, and everybody's going to want to beat you. You got the target on your back, and so, I mean, again, Arkansas is going to be those unranked teams are going to be tough to play against. I mean, Arkansas is going to be tough. It's the environment we're in now, and it's a great spot to be. It's a pretty good feeling when you know that every team you play wants to rush the court when you win, when you lose.
Yeah, that's true. Well, cool, man. Well, another fun episode brought to you by mybookie.ag. Promo code next round, double your initial deposit. They keep us going, so let's keep them going, guys, and support them. And also covercrimson.com. Clint Lamb's on there, covering hoops, covering football, recruiting. Obviously transfer portal, if anything happens there, coaching moves, if we add guys or guys leave. So all of that as well at covercrimson.com. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, hanging out with us here. Anything that I didn't bring up that you want to talk about today?
I think that covers it all. I think we got it.
Well, have a great weekend, everyone, and roll tide.
Roll Tide.